Hi, it's Jenny here again. Welcome back to my channel. This week I am doing a makeover on a bedside table, the little one you saw. I'm not going to go through the whole process of making it over, though you've seen me do that so many times. I'm focusing more on the drawers in this actual video because I'll be making a contact paper stencil design for each of the drawers on the front. It will be a design that I create on Canva, and I'll be making it out of cheap contact paper that I bought from Officeworks. They were $1 a roll for a meter. They've actually been reduced to 35 cents now, so that would make ultra good value to use as a stencil. They are only usable once though, they're not reusable, these particular ones. I didn't mind though, because especially if you're making it a specific design for a specific piece and you need a specific size, you know, chances are you might not be wanting to use that stencil again, particularly for anything else. So all I'm doing now is just preparing the drawers. I thought I would, instead of sanding completely the whole front of the drawers, I just sort of sand the top, and I would paint a white border around the outside of the drawers. Here I'm using washi tape, which is a tape, it's a very thin sort of tape, and it's not all that sticky. It actually does really well to actually create a protection for the top of this drawer. But I do need masking tape. I've run out of masking tape, which is the only reason why I'm using it. And there is a little bit of bleed through, so I'll just go through and sand that off before I wash. You've seen me do my whitewash before, and this is the same principle. It's just adding paint and water, mixing it in together. I actually just use the Kmart craft paint in the tube. The used to be called chroma acryl, but I don't know what it's called now. I always wet the top of what I'm whitewashing or brown washing, and I'll just cover up that little hole just so no paint goes through. And then I just paint it on, wipe it off. I'm careful not to go too close to the sides because I don't want to get any on the white paint. And I actually do 2 coats of this, and it's very satisfying to watch and really satisfying to do as well. I wanted to do a brown wash. I was thinking of doing a whitewash, but because I'm going to make the stencil pattern in white, the same white as the border, I thought I would do something a bit more contrasting, and I think this brown wash looks really nice and looks rich. And I'm just going to do the same on the actual inside drawers of these. I'm not going to put any stencils or decals, but I do want to just paint over these just to make them a bit fresher and a deeper colour. So going into Canva, and this is where I actually do the design up, I'm just taking a design out of elements on Canva. You can see the 3 actual pages there. I changed to the size of my drawer, so I think they're about 43 by 13.5, and that's what I made each of these canvases. I made 3 of them, and I am just copying and pasting the same design onto each page, but I am moving it around so it joins up. So if you see that the pattern joins, and it actually flows into each other. And I downloaded this. I did change it a little bit though. If you see on the top and the bottom there's a bit of a border at the end. I didn't want that. I wanted the pattern to go right to the end of the front of the drawer, so it sort of looked like it was flowing through from the actual white border that I'd painted. And I exported this, I downloaded it, making sure I clicked the transparent background box, and this will make the white parts transparent, so when it's put into Cricut it will be transparent and it will cut. And then I just had a bit of fun playing around with some other designs. There's a heap in here that you can play with. I enlarged this, but you could even, if you find a repetitive design, you could even just make it a lot smaller and just copy and paste next to each other to make it flow. So popping it into Cricut, I uploaded it and put it in. And now I'm just changing the size to the dimensions of my drawer front. I think I actually added a few millimeters onto because I did want it to hang over teeny bit so I'd have something to pull it off, and also to make sure there wasn't any line on the front of the drawer. The reason I make it the size of the drawer is so that it is all in proportion when I put it into Cricut. If I have to make it bigger or smaller, it's not going to look out of whack and out of proportion. If you saw another video, I did a contact paper settings. I added my own contact paper settings onto this, but I did want to go through and change them a little bit because contact paper is so thin. So I changed the deep point blade setting to the fine point blade setting. And then I also changed because I made it 110 other cut strong, I changed that. I wanted to reduce it. I could only go down to 100, but that was all okay. I would have gone down a bit more, but I couldn't. When I cut it though, I made the pressure a bit less so it didn't cut through completely. And this is what I'm using. It's just the really cheap self-adhesive book covering. It doesn't matter what pattern or anything like that. They'd actually reduced it to 35 cents, like I said, so I might even go back and see if they have more, and I'll stock up on them for these stencils. They're, yeah, great idea, I think. I just cut the piece of contact like a few centimeters bigger than the actual stencil size. And then I just go through and weed. For some reason this part didn't cut out, which is really strange because the others cut really well, almost through to the back of the paper on the back, so I don't know what happened there. I just got a little knife and followed the pattern and cut it myself. This transfer paper actually is contact paper. You can probably see that there, which I bought a 15-meter roll for $6, so that's ultra cheap and really good value, and it's going to last me forever and ever, and I can use those sheets a lot, more than once, that's for sure, because they're ultra sticky. And then you can see how I have just placed my stencil on the actual drawer front, and I'm just trying to line up the pattern so it looks like it's flowing through. Sometimes with this, when I use this contact paper as transfer paper, the first time I use it, I'll put it on like some material or something, just to reduce the stickiness of it, so it's easy to pull off the vinyl. Just making sure everything is pushed down so that when I paint over it, there's no bleed through. Still not sure how this will work at all, because this is the first time I've done it on this scale on a piece of furniture, so it's still at this point a bit iffy for me and a bit of an experiment. But here I'm using again I'm using the 3-in-1 paint, so the one-step paint that I did in my last video, and I'll put a link up there. It was really successful, and I love this paint. I go over it with a roller. I go over all 3 jaws twice, and I let the paint dry completely before I take the stencil off. I didn't have to let this paint dry for too long. It actually dries pretty quickly, and yet at the same time it's really easy to work with. If you have to go over it again once you finish painting a panel, it's really good that way, but it doesn't take too long to dry. And now I'm starting to peel it off because I have no idea what's going to happen and how it's going to go. At this point I think it will be all good. It looks like it's coming off fine, and you can see a little bit, not here because my arm's in the way, but where it is hanging over the edge, just where I increase the size a few millimeters. That also makes it easier to grab, like a little handle almost, just to peel off. So yeah, just here you can see where I grab, oh not there, yeah, just here, see. So and that helps it to, helps me to be able to grab it, otherwise I would have to get something to try to dig into it to pull it up. Just looking at it closer, you can see how crisp the edges are. There's no bleed through it at all. It's just lovely, and that's with 2 coats of paint. Yeah, what do you think? I think it's really lovely, because the worst part of stencils can be the bleed through. If the edges aren't neat or they're a bit fuzzy, it can ruin the whole look of it. But this was pretty perfect, I'd say. One downside of this I found was the contact paper was so sticky that when I pulled it off it did leave a little bit of a sticky residue, so I thought I would get my magic sponge and try to get some of that off. So I wet the sponge. The problem was, though, it didn't actually take all of it off. It made it a bit less. It wasn't as sticky. What it did though was I sort of wiped off some of the wash, the paint wash, so it became a little bit patchy. Next time I wouldn't even bother with it. Well, there's 2 things I would do. I would not do this. I would just wax over it, because when I waxed it was fine. And the second thing is, as soon as you put the stencil on, put it straight on paint and take it straight off again. I think the longer that it's left on, the more likelihood there will be that stickiness on there. And these stencils I sort of just put on and left for a while, so I think that may have had something to do with it too. But like I said, the wax did take away the stickiness, and it also brought the colour back in and made it a lot more uniform. So after I waxed, I put on handles, and these were the handles. They were from Kmart. They were reduced to $2. I did have a bit of a problem with them, and I had to end up taking the little gold bit behind the porcelain knob at the front because they wouldn't fit through completely, and I did have to drill the hole a little bit bigger. But apart from that, they went through really well. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I hope it gives you some ideas. I will definitely be trying this technique again. I loved it. It was so satisfying doing it and peeling it and painting it and seeing the result. Like I said, it's only to be used once. That's the only downfall, I guess, and maybe that sticky residue as well. Definitely give it a go though, and I'll be trying it again, and I'm also going to be trying some different stencil techniques in upcoming videos. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching my video today, and I'll see you all in next week's video. Have a great week, and bye for now. Really, and if I fill that up with each of the paints, I will have equal amounts, and I will just combine it into the one. It doesn't matter, Shannon was saying it doesn't really matter what brands you use of anything, just make sure that